Stephen Conroy joins us in a moment or two, but Bronwyn Bishop's the carryover champ, so let's start with her, and she's in the man cave right now, keeping eye on everything for us. I do like it. All right, so Bronwyn, questions to answer. We know it's a smear campaign, or it is some 4D chess where we get him to deny it and then 4 days later this happens, which means it is all orchestrated. It means we're going back to where they were when they tried to pull Scott Morrison apart towards the mid part of his Prime Ministership. What do you think about this stuff, and what, if anything, should Dutton do as a response?
Well, look, let's remember that the dirt file mechanism was started by Paul Keating. But at least he had the courage to come out and deal with his own dirt file. And he personally would say what was the problem with his opponent. But this man, this weak, timid Prime Minister, doesn't even have the courage to back up his own dirty work. He sends out underlings to do it for him. Mean girl, Katie Gallagher, or the loquacious Watt. I mean, seriously, I think the way that Peter Dutton dealt with it today, by simply saying, I'm here to answer your questions, and did so, said how he had dealt with property and how he's been successful. And doesn't that show, perhaps, that he knows how to deal with economic signals? Doesn't it show that he knows how to manage the economy much more than the timid, weak little man who today was just throwing away billions of dollars more without any way of trying to say where the money was coming from, and without trying, again, feeding inflation?
But also, when you get closer to an election, you want the messages to be, frankly, louder, clearer and simpler. At some point in time, you want people to be able to start repeating back the advertising that's around. This stuff is very granular, very old, very inside baseball, and that keeps a certain section of the media excited, but I'm just not sure what the 1-2 punch is here. Again, if something's coming that none of us can see, well, we'll all find out together, but it just feels like we've been through a couple of days, questions to answer is the game, and that's just a way of keeping it going, when the reality is, for Peter Dutton, OK, he stood up, he took the questions. Remember Julia Gillard, way back when, that was her answer to questions to answer for her way back when. And then you say, well, we're done with this, right? I don't understand how a 2025 election campaign can be defined by things said and not said in 2014, or things done and not done in 2009.
Well, Albanese wouldn't even answer today whether or not his Copacabana mansion is negatively geared. I mean, he just refused to answer. I mean, there is no consistency in the way the story is being dealt with at all. And I think it is interesting that it was only one journalist on one paper that chose to run it. And I think that Peter Dutton, by coming out and dealing with it, has dealt with it. And then we go back to the questions of the fact that inflation for January has in fact risen again. I mean, this is a man who, they were ready, the ALP, to go to the polls on the 7th of December, as I've told you. He lost his nerve. And every day he stayed since, it's got worse and worse. And it's not going to get any better.
All right, Stephen Conroy joins us in a second. Till then, one-way traffic, the carryover champ, and many people would be more than happy for that to be the way that this segment works, is the wonderful Bronwyn Bishop, as we're here in Vegas, getting ready for the footy. You'll see it all on Fox Sports and KO, and we'll be celebrating that again here tomorrow night with even bigger insights into this beautiful, beautiful city that I know oh so very well. I know the Gold Coast like the back of my hand. I know Vegas by the back of my eyelids sometimes. All right, let's talk about some polling that showed that the Teals aren't moving anywhere. Now, sorry, you want to talk about Vegas? Is this what you're desperate to get in on Vegas? Got a Vegas story for me, Bronwyn?
I was just saying I envy you being there. I'd love to be at the game.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, it's what, about 2:30 in the morning here, and it's about 9:30 in Canberra, Melbourne and Sydney. So, I'm right. I'm fine to be doing my best work here in the middle of the night in Vegas and in prime time on Sky News. All right, so about the Teals. So they've put forward, or someone has put forward a whole bunch of polling that shows nothing's going to move for the Teals. Now, this again, we've been looking for the data. We know that in certain seats that there were very close results when it comes to the referendum. But How do you think the Liberal Party should deal with this? Because the reality is that they seem to be making very good inroads in suburban areas, and to maybe take on a Teal, then they've got to moderate in a way that maybe the suburbs don't want. You're a person who, of course, represented a seat that ended up going that shade of green. What's your advice about this polling and your reaction to it?
Well, first of all, it reminds me of the polling that went on in the latter part of the Trump campaign when Iowa rolled out, the Democrats rolled out a hitherto well-respected pollster who said that Harris was going to win, and she was ahead by 3 points. Then you had the New York poll that said he was going to win all those seats that in fact were won by North Carolina and Wisconsin and so on, Nevada. They were all won by Trump. So what it shows is that polling itself has become a tool to be used in campaigning. And that is exactly what's happening with the Teal's polling. And if you look at the statement that the member for Wentworth made the other day, when she said she would be prepared to talk to Mr Dutton to indeed perhaps back him, because that's the sort of statement you make when you're alarmed that you're losing votes. So I wouldn't be too fussed about that polling. I think it's a tool that Climate 200 are using. They use every trick in the book. They really are a dishonest lot.